The kind of work that I do, it also requires physical strength because, in laparoscopic surgeries, you have to stand for long periods. Then mental endurance also. You have to talk to the patient at evening, 7 o'clock in the same way that you would talk to the first patient in the morning. So that's when I thought that, something has to change, and tried starting many times. But every time it would be something for myself. So I want to lose weight. I want to look better. But whenever I would do something for myself, I would start and then I would stop.
Right.
So I thought, let's do something which is impossible and let's dedicate it to my patients. In the previous generation, if a woman was doing anything other than looking after home, she would be guilty. Now what has happened is, if you are spending time at work, it's perfectly acceptable. Nobody will say anything to you on that. But if you're spending time on anything which is other than the family and work, then more than anybody else, you yourself feel that, oh my God,
Right.
2 hours ride, 5 hours ride on a Sunday, I should be at home. Today kids are at home, my husband is at home. But what I realized is, after the age of 40, unless you do something for yourself, you are not going to be a good mom.
I am Venki, a working professional in IT as well as an amateur masters athlete and a coach for endurance sports. You are listening to the Working Athlete podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, I have a small request from you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also let me know what you like and what you would like to listen to more of by commenting in the comment section on YouTube. I promise to do my best to improve with each episode and bring you the best content that helps you and me get better each day. In this episode, I talked to Dr. Priya Bhave Chittavar. Dr. Priya is a gynecologist from Bhopal who is also an Ironman finisher who lost nearly 20 kgs during her fitness journey. Ironman Babymaker of India, as she is referred to, says she has taken up triathlon to be a better doctor for her patients. It was inspiring to listen to her fitness and weight loss journey in this conversation. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers. And it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenki on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. Hi, Dr. Priya. Welcome to the Working Athlete podcast. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks. Really happy to be here because yours was the podcast that I saw almost twice just before my, starting my Ironman.
Wow.
So it's really a pleasure to be here.
Super. Dr. Priya, I first kind of got to know about you through common friends, and then I was curious about your journey into weight loss, your journey into triathlons, and that's where I want to I was curious and I want to know more and share your journey so that others also kind of benefit from it. So let us start by talking about what was your relationship with sport growing up, if any.
So I was as far away from not only sport, all kinds of physical activity as is possible, to exist. So I would invent all excuses in my PT period that, I can't go out and exercise. I actually grew up in a school in Maharashtra in Pune where we used to have compulsory PE classes in the afternoon. And that used to be a nightmare for me. So I was as far away from any physical pursuit as is humanly possible.
So, but what kind of got you now? You are into triathlon and everything, not just any physical activity is one of the most grueling physical activity that takes hours together. So how did you kind of end up here in this place? What was the journey like? How did it start?
So, Venki, what happened is that, when you are younger, you can do all sorts of things with your body and it will still take you through. So, but after you turn 35 or maybe you start touching 40, you understand that, something has to change. Your body doesn't support you as well, and your mind also follows. So, I think I started triathlon just to be a better doctor. That's because I thought that somewhere that mental and physical endurance, which is required to be a very good doctor, I had lost it somewhere along the
Wow.
way.
Hmm. So you thought that being to become a better doctor, the endurance pursuit would help. And did you find that to be true? How is it?
I think it did because 5 years ago, what happened is I usually work all 7 days. So Sundays, I'd usually go out to a smaller city and see patients there. So we were going to a small city and we went to saw a temple complex there. And I told my assistant that, if we walk so much, then we'll be tired and we won't be able to see patients. On the way back, it was, I just revisited that and I thought that, I'm about to be 40 and walking a few meters also, I'm scared that I'll be tired and I will not have the stamina to see patients. And the kind of work that I do, it also requires physical strength because, in laparoscopic surgeries, you have to stand for long periods. Then mental endurance also. You have to talk to the patient at evening 7 o'clock in the same way that you would talk to the first patient in the morning. So that's when I thought that, something has to change. And I would say that I tried starting many times, but every time it would be something for myself. So I want to lose weight, I want to look better. But whenever I would do something for myself, I would start and then I would stop.
Right.
So I thought, let's do something which is impossible and let's dedicate it to my patients. And that's the only way that I know that I'll finish it.
Oh, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. So, and I really identify that, with that because whenever I have been overweight all through my life, like through my childhood, I've always been chubby, and even the school friends that see me now after 35 years tell me that you're looking so lean because
They've never seen you like
yeah, right. So but throughout that journey, right, throughout my younger years, whenever I used to start to go to gym to try to lose weight, it never struck. But when at 31, 32, when we were expecting my first kid, and when the thought that came saying, if I am not able to take care of my own health, how am I going to take care of my family? And that I need to get fitter and healthier for my family.
for them. Yes.
That became the central why, and there was no looking back after that.
And then you can't stop because it's not for you.
Exactly. So I very much identify with what you say. So what was the first initial steps towards that? How easy or difficult was it once you decided that I need to change my lifestyle to so that I can give better care for my patients?
So what happened is at that point, I obviously could not even walk, a lot. I had cycled only in school and I was actually morbidly afraid of water. So, but I knew on that day in the train that I was going to be an Ironman in 5 years.
Wow.
So I decided I did not have any intermediate. I did lot many things, but it was always towards that goal. And somehow there was this thing that just suddenly came in my mind: Ironman Babymaker of India, and that kind of just stuck. The first step that I took, when you have something like that, you start with a lot of enthusiasm. So I bought my Garmin, I took a coach, I did everything possible what a beginner does with a lot of enthusiasm. And the first thing that I did was that I went to the neighborhood gym. And that's a story in itself. I think that's a story which every woman who goes to a gym will identify with. I was fat back then and I did not have the confidence to carry a t-shirt.
What was the, sorry to interrupt, but the couple of things that I want to set the context before we dive in, right? Ironman Babymaker of India, you were saying that. So what, let's give a context to the listeners, saying what is your specialty in doctor, and then we.
So I'm a gynecologist, but I specialize in reproductive medicine. So I see a lot of couples with infertility, and we do the entire gamut of treatments: laparoscopic surgeries, IUIs, IVF. So that's 90% of my work.
Okay.
So
and then you decided I want to become an Ironman. When was this?
So this was when I turned 40, 5 years ago. And this was, as I said, I was coming back from that camp and I saw on my mobile that Milind Soman had done this, and it just blew my mind. And I thought, let me do this.
Super. Yeah, great. So, and then you, enthusiastically joined a gym, and I interrupted you there. Please proceed.
So I went to the gym, and I was, as I said, I was not confident enough to carry a t-shirt because I thought I looked very fat. And when I went there, the trainer said that, these are the membership fees, but we can't let you in today because you're not in the attire. So you have to be in a gym t-shirt, otherwise we can't let you in. I can't tell you it. I was so disappointed because, you leave from home that this is the day that I'm going to start. It is a Monday morning.
Right.
And you're turned back. But then I found a gym which would accept me in my kurta, and I started from there.
Right. Awesome. So the first gym lost a member, so to speak. And when you got into that gym, which accepted kurta, what were your first initial? What was your weight back then?
So at that time I was 89 kgs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how long did it take for
So
you to
initial weight
progress?
loss actually happened very fast because, I think mainly it has to do with your diet. So I think I was back to this weight 70, 71 in 6 months time.
Wow, that's impressive. What were the changes that you did
So what I
to
understood
your
is
diet
that
and
at least
everything?
in my case, it was emotional depletion which was leading to a lot of, eating a lot of things. And another thing which I have is that I actually feel, a lot of pity for myself. So I feel, oh my God, I've worked so much. I really deserve to eat this. I am feeling, so tired. I actually need to have this. So I started being very cruel to myself. And I said, okay, even if you're hungry, even if you're tired, you don't get to eat this.
And that self pity and that I need to eat this. I can very much identify with that. I need to have that biryani. I earned it. But what were the kind of guiding principles that you had in mind to say, I can eat this, I cannot eat this, I can eat this much and not this much? What were those?
Yeah, I still struggle with this. So, I've done an Ironman, I've done 3 half Ironmans, but I still struggle with my weight. I think it's also something to do with your metabolism as you age.
Correct.
So I've experimented with different things. But what I understood is, it's only thing sustainable is to eat what is cooked at home. So I try and eat more protein at breakfast. I eat a homegrown meal at lunch. I've practically shifted almost 100% to millets. I don't have wheat anymore. And in the evenings, I try to avoid carbs. I only have maybe some chana or rajma or something like that.
Okay.
So that's about it. Nothing fancy.
Right. Yeah, nothing fancy is the keyword here, because fancy might not be very sustainable, right? So we got to keep the diet or whatever we are doing sustainable in the long term, so that it kind of we are able to maintain that. So excellent. You said you lost the weight very quickly, 6-7 months, and then the diet plays the major role. But what were the kind of workouts that you were doing at the time?
So what I did is I understood that, with the time constraints I have and the absolute lack of knowledge, I actually always worked with a coach. So the first thing that I did is I took a coach. I would try and follow the workouts to a T. But, I was so oblivious. I was so stupid, I would say, that I remember that my coach gave me an interval workout. So he said 400 into 3, then 100 meters rest. So it was obviously 400 fast and then 100 slow. I actually did 400 into 3 fast and then I tried to do the 100 slow. So I was so clueless at that time.
Right.
But I slowly built up. So I did my first half marathon, I think 4 or 5 months after I joined the coach. A very poor timing. I did it at Pondicherry, 3 hours, 15 minutes. And I was like dead after it.
Right.
I got an infection and I couldn't get up from the bed. But then on every small or big event, so running, I think, was easier for me. And then I started cycling. I bought a road bike, started doing outdoor cycling, then eventually got a trainer. I think lockdown was the time where, I spent a lot of time on cycling.
Right.
With indoor workout, proper structured workouts.
Because during that time we all got a lot more time on our hands. Yeah. Excellent. So you said 4 months after starting it was your first half marathon, but then you always had triathlon and Ironman in your purview. So how did that journey towards Ironman progress?
So I was actually supposed to do the Ironman in 2020 in August at Kazakhstan. We had booked and it was going to be a full Ironman. But then COVID came in, all the pools were closed. So the pools would be the first to close and the last to open.
Right.
And I had no clue about swimming. I was actually afraid of water. So because in COVID there were no events, so I ended up finishing my first Ironman in 2022. I did the half in Kazakhstan. That was my first race.
Okay. So what was the experience like there, or was it like how you imagined it to be, or was it better or worse? How was it?
Oh, it was very interesting because what had happened is, this is August 2022 and the pools have only opened in April. Now, so April, May, June.
Good.
That's it, the 3 months that I have. I don't know swimming. Now I start swimming and I get the hang of breathing. But I'm afraid of deep water. So the moment I go to the deep end of the pool, I stand up. So I struggle with that for 1 whole month. Finally, one girl who's also a coach is telling me that, at this rate, you will not be able to do August. You should postpone for next year. And I'm so glad she said that. Suddenly something happened inside and I said, no, I'm doing it this year. Come what may, I'm doing it this year.
Yeah.
So what I told myself is that let's do one thing. I'm afraid of water, granted. Let's go and be inside water every single day.
Okay.
And then my coach was kind enough. He came in and one of my training mates, he laughed at me and he said that यहाँ पे क्या छिपकली की तरह लटके हुए हो, थोड़ा सा आगे जाओ अगर दम है तो. I got so annoyed at him and I told him अभी दिखाती हूँ तुमको. And then I took laps and that day you won't believe, our coach made us do all 1.8 kilometers in that 20-meter pool.
Right.
And I did all of it. So that day, why that fear of deep water was totally gone.
Awesome.
And we knew that we took breaks, but we were able to do 1.8 kilometers, even though it was in a tiny swimming pool. Now the issue was, this is already July, I think end of June, and one and a half months later is the half Ironman. And that's in open water. I've never been in open water.
Right.
So I go to the lake in Bhopal. It's raining heavily, there are a lot of waves, and my local coach tells me that no, you can do it, go inside. Just go on the sides, don't go towards the deep end. And I didn't understand it. I had actually gone to the deep end and I tried to stand there and I went down.
Right.
And there were a lot of waves that day. It was very rainy, so there were very few people. But luckily one person spotted me and he pulled me out.
Wow.
Now at home, I hadn't told that I was going to the lake. So there was no way I could tell this to anybody. So for 2 days, I was really, thinking whether it's worth going and risking my life.
It is a shocker, right? You almost drowned.
I almost died.
If that person did not spot you, you would be.
Absolutely, I would be in the news the
Wow.
next day.
Ah,
But that ambition to finish that Ironman was so much that I said that come what may, I'm doing it. And my coach who was in Pune, Chaitanya Velhal, he said that why don't you come to Pune? I'll take you and I'll see what happens. So Thursday afternoon, I go to Pune. Evening we go to a dam, and he tells me that go inside and come back. I'm here. He sits in a boat, and every time that I take out my head to breathe, I can see him there. So I really felt like the Arjuna in Gita.
right.
So he felt like Lord Krishna. So every time I'll see him and I'll forget all the fears that I had.
Right.
And that day evening, next day morning, and next day evening, 3 sessions, and I think I was okay. I was terribly slow. My pace wouldn't still make the cutoff, but I think I was okay.
Right.
Then I had 3 weeks. So every week, every Thursday, I'll go. Morning, I'll finish patients, swim in the evening, swim next day morning, take the afternoon flight back and see patients. And I would tell everybody that, I'm going for a conference.
Swim conference.
Yes, a swimming conference.
Excellent.
And then I went to Kazakhstan, and that was, I think, the most unnerving time of my life. All these big Russian athletes, and I don't even look like an athlete. I was looking like an auntie with my big bindi, and I was like, what is this? And I went into the water. It was very scary because the full and half race were both together. And there were a huge number of athletes. There was too much jostling inside water. It's a narrow river. And I barely made the cutoff. I think I took 63 minutes and 70 minutes was the cutoff.
Okay. I mean, you still have 7-minute buffer.
Came out alive.
Right. Which is the most important thing. Right. And how was cycling and running?
Cycling was like a dream. So, there was so much support. Everybody was screaming and, I was blowing kisses at them. It was because, I had made it alive after swimming. So I think that was the happiest 3 hours of my life. I was just so glad to be on that bike and on that course. And it was a journey of, almost 5 years. But, I made a mistake in the run. So I started running. And the course in Kazakhstan is like a jalebi. Somehow, I don't know what happened. I missed. I had to turn left and I went on the right.
Oh.
So I was running and I asked an Indian that, mere 5 ho gaye. He said, mere to abhi 10 ho gaye. I was like, what's wrong? Have I missed something? But then I couldn't go back. Then I realized that I had missed a loop on the right side entirely.
Oh.
Now, that was, the most horrible time of my life. All the volunteers did not know English. I thought I would be disqualified because I would not have crossed the timing mat.
Right.
So I kept asking them, if I'm shown to be disqualified in the app. Finally, I found one person. I snatched her phone and I saw that I was not disqualified. Then I met a few Indians and they said that, no, you are fine. Maybe the GPS is wrong. Go towards the finish line. I finished and I ran towards the finish line, but I knew that I had finished only 17 kilometers. I had not done 21. So I finished. Everybody is congratulating me, but I'm absolutely shattered because I knew that I had made some mistake and I had not done the distance.
Yeah.
So they gave me the medal. My name is still in official finishers, but I knew in my heart that I had not finished.
Oh, okay. But the journey to get there, even if it is like 5 kilometers short, is well worth it, right? And you still have time to finish and all that. So it is just a matter of time, I guess.
Yeah, but what happens is you don't do it for the medal. You do it for yourself.
For yourself, yeah.
So, on my phone, there are thousands of people congratulating me, the entire city.
Right.
And I'm writing to everybody, no, I haven't finished it. I am 5 kilometers short. Please don't congratulate me. And the worst thing is that, I did it because of something very stupid. But I think that was the best thing that happened to me. Had I finished it properly, probably it would have been one and done. But because I didn't do it well, I sat down again. Everything that, I could improve on, I wrote it down. And Goa was going to happen in November. I registered immediately for Goa.
Super. How did Goa go?
Goa was awesome. So, this time I was sure that nothing is going to,
There are no jalebis this year.
Yes. And the biggest thing is everybody is going to speak English.
Right.
So that was very big factor in Kazakh. Another thing is that, I also did another mistake. My bike, I didn't pack my bike. I had somebody else do it for me.
Hmm.
So the rear axle, he put another rear axle of another bike in that by mistake.
Okay.
So the rear tire could not be attached. So then that was a last minute confusion, and that's exactly why I didn't go and see the run route. So I think this time what I did is I didn't try to save on the number of days. I went 3-4 days in advance, did everything properly, did a proper route recce. This time my coach was also there. Anything that was possible. So they told me there will be jellyfishes. So I told myself, whenever a mosquito would bite, I would not scratch. I would just observe. That I didn't want to have that urge to scratch the
Right.
itch.
Yeah.
So, meaning that anything small that could go wrong, I tried to
Account for.
account for that.
Right. And how you managed to complete the 21 kilometers and all that?
The full 21 kilometers. So my
Right.
coach, when I asked him what should be my strategy, he said just finish properly.
That's a good strategy. No loops to miss, nothing. Excellent. Now you can, say, accept the congratulations from anyone.
Absolutely. It was the best, moment of my life, because, you also want to know that you earned it
Right.
more than
right,
anything
right.
else or anybody else.
Absolutely. Awesome. So, your kind of, journey started thinking about, giving better service to the patients, right? Women in the line of work, you would come across so many patients, so many people, so many women, right? So, what are, and you yourself, when you started your fitness journey, you noticed the, body shaming, issues and body image issues, right? So, what how would how can one address those, like body image issues and stuff, at the start of their fitness journeys?
See, it's actually very easy for people who've been in fitness, but it's actually very difficult for anybody to start. I remember when I went to the gym that would accept me with my kurta, I saw a lady there who was maybe 60 and she was in a full salwar kurta with a dupatta and she was working out. And that gave me so much hope and so much enthusiasm, because you see these ripped people with six packs and with big muscles, and you totally feel out of place. So I think this 5 years journey has taught me that, acceptance is something which all women have to learn. We are always so critical of ourselves. We are always so critical of how other people are looking at us, but actually nobody bothers.
Right.
And to realize that also takes some time.
Correct. This is, it is, although it is very, very, acute in women, it is not kind of restricted to women. All of us actually, the people in the fitness, journey actually are much critical of themselves than others,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
So we would look at that little, because we all wear these tight tight journeys and stuff. It's like everything is visible.
Yeah,
So it's like couple of kilos you would bash yourselves and you become fat.
Absolutely.
This, that. So acceptance, saying to yourself that that's okay, you put on a couple of kilos, that is fine. You kind of fell into that temptation of that jalebi or that biryani or whatever, right? But you can work towards it. It's all part of the journey, and that acceptance has to, like you said, has to be there. And we need to be a little kinder to ourselves. We are always kind to others, but not so very kind to ourselves. I think that is very important.
Absolutely.
Right. But talking about women and women in sport, we especially moms, right? That there is this phrase about mom guilt, which is very real. Can we talk a little bit about
See,
that?
what happens is that in the previous generation, if a woman was doing anything other than looking after home, she would be guilty.
Right.
Now, what has happened is if you are spending time at work, it's perfectly acceptable. Nobody will say anything to you on that. But if you're spending time on anything which is other than the family and work, then more than anybody else, you yourself feel that, oh my God,
Right.
2 hours ride, 5 hours ride on a Sunday, I should be at home. Today kids are at home, my husband is at home. But what I realized is, after the age of 40, unless you do something for yourself, you are not going to be a good mom or a good wife.
Right.
And also, I think I feel very lucky to be in a family who accepts me for, spending time for myself.
Right.
And also the fact that this pursuit was actually to make me a better doctor,
Yeah.
maybe a better mother. So that also helped me, because it's not for some cosmetic reason that I want to look good or I want to lose weight. It was for a bigger reason. And I think I started out that I should develop endurance, but I think much more than endurance, what I developed is the ability to face failure. Because nothing happened in the first time for me, whether it is half Ironman or my full Ironman. Every time, I had failure before I could taste success.
All right.
So I think, and the same thing happens in couples who are attempting IVF or undergoing an infertility journey. Failure is as common as success is. So I think that actually gave me a different kind of perspective, and also that gave my patients a different kind of perspective, because they could see that, their doctor also struggled, and, yet she came back.
Right.
And she persisted.
Women in sport, it's not same as men. It's like they have to deal with something that is, that happens every month, and it is not very comfortable, and it has a bearing on everything. How they feel, how they perform, and everything. So, how do women manage sport with respect to their menstrual cycle and stuff?
So I think as a gynec, I was in a very unique position, because I knew the physiology, I knew what is happening inside. So there will be days when you're on your period, or when you're about to have your period, you will not actually perform the same way. But I think just the fact that you track your cycles, you kind of work your schedule around it, you tell your coach about it. So I think, if anything, this realization has actually helped me optimize, because actually when you're on your period, your performance is supposed to be the best on those days, because your estrogen and progesterone are really low. Also in the first half and second half, you actually make some differences in your workout routine. It may be different for everybody. But I think realizing that this is a thing which actually happens, being more mindful and working around that will actually give good results.
Okay. So, is it like some days are better than others for intensity and stuff like that? Is there anything that
Definitely. So the first 10 days of your cycle, you're actually better suited for, your long rides or very long workouts. Strength training, maybe not so much in the second half of your cycle. But I would say that there are no rules. It's very individual. And the differences are not so much that, you totally change your training schedule. I think much more is the problem, much more is about managing your cycles, because the anxiety is that you're going on a long ride. Most of the riders are going to be men. Now, if I need to change, where do I stop? There are no washrooms.
right?
So I think if you have more women in cycling, in running, then it actually makes things more comfortable.
Right.
Also, personally, I felt that using menstrual cups actually gave me a very big advantage, because you can practically do everything when you're wearing the cup. You can even swim when you're on your period. So I think that was one thing which I feel that all athletes should use, and that will be a game changer for them.
Wow. Okay. And see that is very helpful. And talking about women in sport and women career and women with family, right? So can women have it all? If you look at people like you, the answer is pretty straightforward. But what is your opinion on that?
No, Venki, it's not straightforward. So, always when we see things on social media and we feel that, oh my God, she's got everything together.
Right.
So she's running a business, she has a wonderful family, a very supportive spouse, and we're doing well in sport. Actually, if you delve deeper, it will not be that everything is together.
Right.
Some months, probably your training is a priority because your event is about to come. Some days maybe your son has an exam and he is number one priority and sport is number two. So I think we are all juggling few balls, but some things, all of these are important to us, but some things in life will be more important to you at some point. But you always go back to your number two, number three, and they become your number one and number two at different times. So I think you can have it all, but not all at once.
Oh, that is a very, very important thing to realize, right? You can have it all, but you cannot have it all at once. Maybe, right? You have to. So one friend actually on this podcast, while talking about this, kind of compared this with juggling balls, right? When you can kind of juggle 2 3 balls or 4 5 balls, but only a few balls are kind of in your arm at a time, and you are rest are all in the air at a time. So it's kind of juggling and juggling the priorities at various points of life. That is a very nice way to kind of put it as well. So, and this has been kind of very great conversation talking about your journey, and then few important women's issues and stuff. How has Ironman kind of changed you personally? What is the impact it had on you?
I think it started out because I wanted to have mental endurance, I wanted to have physical endurance. So, I wanted to be a doctor who can operate for 12 hours straight and then, yet have the stamina to operate one more patient. And in the same way that I would have done the first patient. Somewhere along the way, as I said, I encountered a lot of setbacks, lot of challenges. And it took everything to overcome that, be it the fear of swimming or, not finishing my first. In fact, even my first Ironman, which I attempted, I had a DNF in the swim. So I think it made me on one hand little more tolerant of things that I'm not good at. Secondly, it also showed me that if I am determined, I can do things which are totally out of my league. And I think that was the biggest takeaway because, for all my life, I was always very scared to start my own hospital. I always thought that I'm a good doctor, but I'll not be good with money. I'll not be good with managing things. But after Ironman, I feel that, why not? If I could do that, maybe I could learn. Maybe I could do things which I am not cut out for or I don't think I'm good at. So I think that has been the biggest thing for me, that I am scared of challenges, but I somehow have that confidence that maybe I can crack it.
Oh, that is a brilliant thing. So that time when you were super scared of swimming, and you kind of stuck with it, had the right guidance at the right time, and learned and overcome that. And it's that journey that kind of taught you, it's similar thing, right? Something that you thought was not your cup of tea, you are now venturing into that. And so excellent. That's what we all intend to take away from sport. Great to hear about your journey. Is very inspiring. I'm sure it will be helpful for other women and men to listen to this and take away from your journey. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your experience with the Working Athlete podcast.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome.
That was my conversation with Dr. Priya. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.